Hello and hola! Welcome to Yoga with Criss. In this video, we'll have a yoga session with mobility flows, but this time we're adding weights for those who are starting their strengthening journey and want to start light, or for those already in the path and in need of an active recovery day. This is the only case that as a fitness coach, I will recommend to grab light weights. So yes, this time you can pick those pastel colored dumbbells or kettlebells or even wrist or ankle weights or weighted gloves. If we want more leg work, we can wear a weighted vest too. So grab your mat, pick your poison, and let's yoga. From a standing position with our heels hip width apart and bringing back that morning sensation of stretching our legs. You know what? Let's take a stretch and hold that sensation with us. We want to keep our legs engaged as well as our arms, but arms are pulling down as if our fingertips wanted to escape from our shoulders. Taking a few rounds of breath to make sure we are breathing deep and slow, and although we are expanding our belly and the sides of our rib cage with every inhale, the front part of the rib cage stays in and packed together. After a few rounds of breath, let's face the longer edge of our mat with our heels way wider than our hips, toes pointing to the corners of our mat, avoiding to collapse in our arches because that will bring our knees in. We simply lift our arches, but if despite our arch lifting, our knees keep coming inwards, let's drive our hips back almost like we want to shut our car door with our booty so we can balance our center of gravity. And keeping our knees at the widest for a sumo squat position. Leaning our elbows on our ribs, and as we inhale, straightening our legs and bringing our arms overhead and returning to the original position as we exhale. These are our weighted moonflowers, keeping our breath through our nose unless we are using heavier loads. For these weighted moonflowers, the recommended number of reps per practice is 8 to 10. Returning to the original position, but this time bringing our hands to the highest point over our head and drawing a circle with our hands and repeating but controlling the movement. Hands are not crossing. We are not using the momentum. And completing 8 to 10 reps. Let's see a different angle, noticing that the arches and knees are not collapsing as we go down on our sunflowers, these weighted sunflowers. With our heels hip width apart, inhaling, bringing our hands overhead as we inhale. Exhaling, hinging from the hips and bending our knees, leaning our torso forward without rounding our back, doing the movement from the hips and bending our knees as much as we need to touch our mat. Inhaling, straightening our legs and setting our hands on our shins or thighs. Exhaling, bending our knees and reaching the mat. Inhaling, bringing our hands overhead. Exhaling, meeting again on forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling all the way up. Hands on our mat. Halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling and repeating the whole flow for at least 6 times per practice. Once we hit our desired number of reps, let's meet on halfway lift and aligning our hips with our heels so we avoid leaning back, bringing our center of gravity forward without falling on our face, and opening our arms like airplane wings. As we all know, airplane wings have parts and mechanisms that make certain movements during a flight. Imitating that movement, let's rotate our arms from the shoulder in and out, repeating 8 to 10 times per practice. Just a reminder, my content in Patreon is open and free. The address is on the screen and the description of this video. Bending our knees and planting our hands on the mat, stepping the right foot back and either sweeping our arms up or walking our hands on that front leg. Let's look at the side view. Rolling our shoulders back and down as we get our arms overhead, pointing the tailbone to the floor to wake up our rear hip flexors, and aligning our torso with that tailbone so we may be leaning back a bit, and then gently tapping the mat with our rear knee, checking our pelvis at every rep to verify the tailbone is pointing to the mat. And yes, we can use a pillow to tap on in case we're nursing our knees. If the weight in our gloves or wrist weights feels too heavy, we can just bring our hands down to only work on our lower body and eventually progress in the practice by wearing the weights again. Depending on how tough this feels for us, we can start with 6 reps and increasing to 8 to 10 reps, carefully landing our knee and bringing our hands to the mat, stepping the right foot forward as we lift our hips to the sky, and now stepping our left foot back and bringing our arms up, double checking that our tailbone is tucked in and aligning our spine with it. Bringing the rear knee to the mat or our pillow, but remembering to keep our pelvis in that position. We can also start with our arms down and bringing them overhead to work more on our shoulders. Planting our hands on the mat and stepping forward as we lift our hips. Stepping our right foot back and getting our torso up, we can choose to bring our hands overhead or leaving them hanging down. But this time, we're not tilting our hips because we're targeting different muscles. Gently tapping the mat with our knee, and we can use a pillow for more comfort. If we want to add work for our shoulders, we can bring our hands overhead. For this flow, the recommended reps are 6 to 10 depending on our fitness level. Bringing our hands to the mat and lifting our hips to switch legs. And repeating the movement as many times as we did on the other side, choosing from arms up or arms down. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, this is the perfect moment to do so. There is a subscription button below. Please touch it and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Next movement is advised only for people with high knee mobility or an advanced fitness level. Planting our hands on the mat with one leg on hero pose and the other one with the foot planted on the mat, but trying to get the foot as close as possible to the seat bones. We can take off our weighted props and setting them on top of the upright knee. Gently rocking back and forth, just pausing and trying to get forward as much as possible, but avoiding to lift the heel from the mat, since we're working on our ankles range of motion. Maybe holding a bit as we lean forward, and then we keep rocking and pulsing. If you have a long femur like mine, the heel won't exactly get underneath the hip. If we're looking for extra challenge and extra strengthening, we can get up from here, remembering that most of our weight is on the foot that has been planted on the mat. The other foot is there merely to help us with the balance. And about that rear foot, we can choose from tucking or untucking our toes. But let's keep in mind that depends on our in-step mobility and our fitness level. If it hurts or doesn't feel good, we simply skip this exercise. We want to be stronger. We don't want to hurt. If this movement goes well with our body, or if it's part of our practice, we'll do 5 to 8 reps. Landing our hands and both knees on the mat. Let's switch legs. Again, trying to get our support foot as close as possible to our seat bones and rocking back and forth as we hold our weights on top of the front knee, but holding a little longer as we go forward without lifting our heel from the mat. And keeping in mind that only if we're working on strengthening, because this movement is part of our practice, let's do the get-ups. Remembering that our rear foot position may vary according to our mobility. We'll do as many reps on this side as we did with the other leg. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comment. I love to clarify any doubts you have about the exercise. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, click here. And I'm leaving you another video to watch here. Like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share.